everything right, I think that maybe the core is poisoned.
Well, if you thought the core was poisoned, then you didn't do everything right because you're choking my reactor. Get it back up.
Oh, it keeps going down.
What did you do?
I did what you said. I switched.
Look at it! Fucking amateurs, you stalled the reactor. How the fuck did you get this job?
Comrade Dyatlov.
You're gonna tell me that you did everything right again, you incompetent arsehole?
I apologize for this unsatisfactory result.
They followed the instructions.
What are you doing?
We have to shut all the way down.
No.
Well, we could be in a xenon pit. We have to shut down wait 24 hours.
No, we're doing the test tonight. Raise power to 700.
Well, we can't raise the power from here. The rules.
Don't talk to me about rules.
If we fall from 80%...
No, we fell from 50% of power.
50% is even
The rules don't say 50. There is no rule.
Comrade Dyatlov, I apologize, but what you're saying makes no sense.
Raise the power.
No.
Safety first. Always. I've been saying that for 25 years. That's how long I've done this job. 25 years. Is that longer than you, Akimov?
Yes.
Is it much longer?
Yes.
See, if I say it's safe, and if the two of you disagree, then you don't have to work here, and you won't. But not just here, you won't work at Kursk, or Ignalina, or Leningrad, or Novovoronezh, you won't work anywhere ever again, I'll see to it.
So far, I don't see a problem with what he's saying. So later then?
No, right now they're just saying what happened. But what he has to say to tell the truth is that there was something wrong with the entire safety test that the people in the room didn't know about because the state kept it from them.
No one ever thinks it's going to happen to them. And here we are.
Yep.
How much time? Maybe a year. They call it they call it a long illness. It doesn't seem very long to me. Do you remember that morning when I first called you? How unconcerned I was. I don't believe much that comes out of the Kremlin, but when they told me they were putting me in charge of the cleanup, and they said it wasn't serious, I believed them. You know why? Because they put you in charge. I'm an inconsequential man, Valera. Of all the ministers and all the deputies, they mistakenly sent the one good man. God's sakes, Boris. You were the one who mattered most.
He did do a lot of things.
I'm glad that they sent him because anybody else could have decided to go with the state and do nothing because that wasn't that big of a problem.
I mean, even him, like, first episode we saw him, you remember?
Yeah. But he was willing to listen and try to understand what was going on.
Just to hear how he sees himself, though, it's heartbreaking that he thinks that he's just, you know, the two guys from the plant, they were saying shit about him, how he doesn't know what he talks about, and he's easily manipulated and stuff, but he turned out to be one of the guys that saved the most people, you know?
At 30 megawatts, xenon is still being created, but none of it is burning away. To make matters worse, the reactor isn't hot enough to produce sufficient steam. The only way to safely raise power from this state is to do it very, very slowly over the course of 24 hours. But Dyatlov wants it done now. They begin pulling control rods out. Now the test begins. The pumps are shut down and they've let go. The balance immediately swings in the opposite direction. In less than a second, reactivity increases. Steam increases reactivity, increases heat, increases steam, increases reactivity. The remaining xenon decays away. The power is rising. There's nothing left to stop it.
About enough for today.
We still have more evidence to give.
It's not necessary. Your testimony is concluded. Your Honor.
Court is now adjourned. We will resume tomorrow. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Thank you. Thank you.
broke every rule we have. He did these things believing there was a failsafe. AZ5, a simple button to shut it all down. But in the circumstances he created, there wasn't. The shutdown system had a fatal flaw.
Thank you.
Akimov engages AZ5. The fully withdrawn control rods begin moving back into the reactor. These rods are made of boron, which reduces reactivity, but not the tips. The tips are made of graphite, which accelerates reactivity.
Why?
For the same reason our reactors do not have containment buildings around them, like those in the West. For the same reason we don't use properly enriched fuel in our cores. It's cheaper.
He said it.
Oh my gosh.
He said it.
The first part of the rods that enter the core are the graphite tips, and when they do, the reaction in the core, which had been rising, skyrockets. At long last, we have arrived. 123.45, explosion. In the instant the lid is thrown off the reactor, oxygen rushes in. It combines with hydrogen and superheated graphite. The chain of disaster is now complete.
I'm glad he told the truth.
No one in the room that night knew the shutdown button could act as a detonator, because it was kept from them.
Comrade Legasov, you're contradicting your own testimony in Vienna.
The testimony in Vienna was a lie. I lied to the world. We were following orders.
Legasov, if you mean to suggest the Soviet state is somehow responsible for what happened, then I must warn you, you are treading on dangerous ground.
He knows.
I've already trod on dangerous ground. We're on dangerous ground right now because of our secrets and our lies. They're practically what define us. When the truth offends, we lie and lie until we can no longer remember it is even there, but it is still there. Every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later, that debt is paid. That is how an RBMK reactor core explodes.
Oh, nice call back.
Lies.
You went there. No matter the consequences, though, I have a lot of respect for him.
Scientist. And your idiot obsession with reasons. When the bullet hits your skull, what will it matter? Why? Your testimony today will not be accepted by the state. It will not be disseminated in the press. It never happened.
That's why I recorded at the
You keep
end.
your title?
This guy truly believes he's got all the power. And he probably does have the power. It's just, it's not foolproof.
There's a part of me that feels ashamed for doubting him.
Doubting that he would say the truth.
Yeah. After everything he's done to try to control the catastrophe and everything.
He's human. It could have happened.
But now I understand why he recorded the truth and sent it to someone so that the truth would be let on.
Because they buried it.
Yeah.
They buried his testimony. And now his entire reputation suffers.
We are so focused on our search for truth, we fail to consider how few actually want us to find it. But it is always there, whether we see it or not. It will lie in wait for all time. And this, at last, is the gift of Chernobyl. Where I once would fear the cost of truth, now I only ask, what is the cost of lies?
You live longer than you thought you would. Oh, she had a kid. Oh. Well. Yeah. Which is bullshit because that's a slow killer, you know?
31 dead caused by Chernobyl. Wow. Wow.
Unchanged since 87. Ah. I thought I wouldn't cry this episode. It was off to a good start, but
Take a moment. Because you speak better than I do, so I'm gonna wait for you.
what?
You speak better than I do, so I'm gonna wait for you to talk.
It's a difficult show to watch, but God, they did a good job. You know, there were people in the comments that were saying stuff like, "Oh, I mean, it's fictionalized." Of course, it's a TV show. You know, that at one point they had to dramatize, you know, some of the stuff that went on, but it doesn't. Whoa, I can't speak.
The overall situation still happened.
It doesn't take away from.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a mess. It doesn't take away from the actual tragedy. Ah. I should have expected this, you know, last episode. Finishing a show usually is hard for me, but in this case, God.
I remember the first time that we learned that one of the guy at the operation room was 25. We thought that it was so young to be working at a nuclear station.
Yeah.
It's even worse than we thought. He was there for 4 months.
And he didn't know.
They didn't know what they were supposed to do, what the protocol was. They weren't trained to do shit show. And they were expected to do a safety test.
And the worst is, we can't even completely blame the guy in charge, because he did this with 25 years of experience, which gives him kind of a, you know, for example, let's say you're a professional car driver. After years and years of doing maneuvers, of you know, driving your car and stuff, you get to a point where you don't really care about the risks or anything, because you believe in what you're doing, you know? So you believe you know your job, so you allow yourself to go certain places thinking that nothing is going to happen, and if something happens, you know you can take care of it. So we see it all happen, we see it all unfold, and we're cursing him, you know? We're cursing the guy in charge because we know where this is going to lead, but in his head, he truly believes that everything he's doing is fine. It's part of some stuff that he's done before, or it's part of a normal, you know, procedure. And then when everything went to shit because of what he did a lot of mistakes. I'm pretty sure it was all based off of he was ordered to do it. He had it too much. I think his experience played against him.
When you're too comfortable in what you're doing, you tend to forget about risk and procedures, and you just do as you think that you could do, because you think, I know what I'm doing. I have many years to my account.
It played against
him. I
him.
understand that, but it's like when you're driving a car. Teachers will say that the more you got experience in driving a car, the more you need to be careful, because you became careless. When you start driving a car, you're so stressed that you take you're so precautious to not have any type of accident. But over the years, you became accustomed to it.
And
you forgot to pay attention. You forgot to look your dead angle. And you forgot to do your stop completely, and accident happens.
You could see the difference between him and like the newer workers there who were telling him that it went against, you know, all rules and everything, but he's like, there are no rules. And I'm like, in his mind, he probably thought it was okay, because like as I've said, at the end, he thought for sure that if something went wrong, they could press that safety button, you know, that
so I didn't know about that.
Something, yeah.
HZ5.
Yeah, anyway, he thought if they pressed it, it would be okay, but that's because he wasn't told about the problem with the tip of the rods and stuff. So overall, everything could have been avoided if they had told the truth about the problem with their reactors. Like if they had, like they wanted to appear strong, and it's not like we're talking about Soviet Union here, but I'm gonna be honest, it's not the first time I hear about higher ups and people in charge, or just, you know, powerful people, no matter where, you know, it could be in a small company, it could be in the government, anywhere, but it's not the first time I hear about people like that doing stuff faster because it's cheaper, or because, you know, it's gonna make them appear better in the eyes of the people around them. In their case, I mean, it's because it's a direct consequence of their mentality that if the fewer people know about the actual truth, which is that they're not as strong as possible, well, the bigger their image is going to be, you know. If the people in their country doubt them, they're not going to be strong, and that's what they relied on, you know, being strong, maybe not truly strong, but being strong at least in name. So they kept it all under wraps. They didn't trust anyone to know anything. The control, the manipulation, the lies that went into this explosion, and after that, everything that happened, you know, led to the disaster that we all know. It could have been avoided. So that's one of the things that happened. And the other thing that happened is, you know, personal advancement. It's human error, which is, you know, they want to be the people in charge. They want it to be in a safe space. They want it to be with the higher ups. They wanted to advance their career.
Yeah.
So they you know, they forgot about what they knew. They forgot about the problems that could happen. They forgot about the risks, and they went for it based on what they wanted. So it was selfish as fuck for most of them. It was selfish. So they went for what they wanted, forgetting about everything else, and also thinking that since it never happened before, it wasn't going to happen now. I think Boris said it best. You never think about it happening to you.
Yeah. What you just said reminded me of one of the comments that I read earlier than that, when I compared what was happening with it's all higher ups who doesn't care about what's going on, and if when the shit show's gonna happen, they don't want to get involved with that. And one of you guys said that it's not whole people in power; it's the state.
Yeah, but who's in charge of the state?
Different. But I just want to say that to us, that's the best comparison that we can make to understand what happened, because that's what we understand from where we live, basically, and from what we know. Is true that people who are in charge, who possess power,
they don't want to lose it.
Just want to have the end result, the end profit, and the benefits of what they possess, basically. And the people who work for them, the small people, don't matter, because that's not what's important to them. For them, it's money. The glory, basically, and the reputation.
In their case, I will switch that a little bit and say it's not that the little people don't matter, it's just the individual doesn't matter.
The workers don't matter.
No, the individual.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Here we could say, when we're talking about a company or the government, we could say that the poor don't matter, or the people, who are simple employees don't matter. This is true here. This is true in our reality. For them, I feel like it's the individual is not supposed to matter.
Yeah.
We saw that it's not exactly true. Like I said earlier, I think the people that were in charge of that plant valued their individuality above a lot of things, because they were talking about promotions and stuff. So how is that, in favor of the state if you're looking forward to your own promotion?
Yeah.
Because it had nothing to do. Well, technically, it had nothing to do with the state that they chose to, keep going with the test, even though they had a 10-hour, delay. So it was because if they didn't do that test, a test that they had been preparing for 3 years, well, they would be reaping the consequences. They would not be able to advance. So they wanted to get rid of that as fast as possible. That was going against the mentality of their thing. That was selfish. Mm-hmm. Now the state thing, though, where the individual doesn't matter, comes down to the main problem, which is why no one knew about that failure, that risk with the RUDs. It's because knowing meant doubting, and it would be a problem for the state. So there are so many things that happened that led to that consequence, that led to that tragedy. Not everything was because of socialism, not everything was because of the workers. Not everything was because of the material, but all together, and because no one told anyone what was going on, no one was, telling the truth,
yeah.
It led to the explosion, which is why I think, a lot of people are telling that line, what's the cost of lies? I think that's exactly, the point of this show. It's people not being honest, people not saying anything because they think that lying will mean to something greater. But at the end of the day, the truth has a thing with catching up with you, Mm-hmm. Man. This last episode was really, really well done. I love that. First of all, they used, the trial to basically explain to us what happened without us being confused, because no one in that room, or most of people in that room, didn't know about power plants and
yeah.
Chernobyl. So how that works, how radioactivity works. So him explaining it to them was great, because we got to understand a lot better.
We were also surprised to see Boris explaining how a nuclear plant that works, basically.
Yeah.
From what we saw in the second episode, when he didn't know nothing about how it works. And after a 30-second explanation, now I know what it is, I don't need you anymore.
That man grew on me a lot, you know.
He grew up on us, and he grew as a person, I think, because he recognized that he was ignorant of the situation.
Oh, like, having a look at his mental state and how he saw himself, you know, he is supposed to be a higher up, you know, he is supposed to be in charge, sort of. But then to know that he thought that since they were asking him, it meant that it wasn't important, because if it was important, they would have asked someone else. Just goes to show what type of man he thought he was, what type of man he was viewed for by the others, you know, as by the others. So he saw himself as someone irrelevant that couldn't do much you know, as a person in power. He thought he couldn't do much, but still.
He said though that when they told him that it wasn't important, it was a small problem, he believed them because they chose him.
Exactly.
So it's like they recognize his value as an individual for their state.
No. What I think what he meant was that since they called him saying that it wasn't a huge problem, he believed them because he didn't see himself as a man who could take care of a situation like this.
Yeah.
He saw himself as irrelevant.
Well, you were sure capable of taking care of the situation.
You were. He died 4 years after.
And yeah.
Like, I love that conversation that they had. It goes to show that the people around us, you know, are capable of doing extraordinary things. And unless you trust them, you know, unless you give them the chance to prove themselves, you probably will never know, you know, who they truly are. But in a situation of crisis like this, the true heroes rise up and do the right thing. Like, we spent 5 episodes, criticizing their reaction, criticizing what they were telling people, criticizing a lot of higher ups that were supposed to do something but appeared to be doing nothing. One thing I will say is that the people that stood up, the people that did something, did it perfectly. They made these hard decisions despite what it did to their morale, what it did to their conscience, and their, you know, and their how much guilt it gave them, because they sent a lot of people to their deaths. Also, it did all these people that were told to do something, and they could have run for it. You know, they were. It's not like they could have chose to die instead of doing it, but they still went. And I'm super happy to learn that a lot of the people that did something and we thought were done for ended up having a better life than they were, you know, told they would have. She ended up having a baby.
Yeah.
The 3 workers that basically saved a lot of people, they ended up surviving longer than we thought. So, I mean, this is reality's version of a happy ending for a lot of these guys. But holy shit, it could have been avoided. It was a terrible tragedy, and to have it, you know, presented to us like this I think it's a great way to keep it in mind, because we tend to forget about it because we weren't there, you know? So our generation tends to brush it off because we have no idea how big it was. And even the people that were there back then, I told you guys my mom wanted to see this show, and she was alive, like she was 19 or 20.
19.
Yeah, when it happened, and we asked her if she remembered anything from back then, and she didn't even remember, you know, hearing about it. So the amount of people that know about what truly happened was small, and I'm glad that they chose to do a show, such a good show, well acted, very, very beautifully shot, and I mean the direction is amazing. So I'm glad that they did a show that everyone can watch. And I mean, whether it's, you know, there are more lies than truths, whether they dramatized what actually happened, doesn't matter. It raises awareness for what went on. And if people, you know, want to find out the real truth, if they don't just want to believe a drama show, well, they can look online. Fiction. They can talk about it with the people that were there.
Fiction leads a path to reality.
Exactly. So I mean, I talked about this with one of you guys in the comments about, you know, whether we should believe this or not. And I was like, at the end of the day, it's a fiction show, you know, we understand that, but it raises awareness for the tragedy. It raises awareness for a lot of people who did the right thing. Because we knew about about Chernobyl, well, or at least we thought we knew about Chernobyl, but we realized pretty fast in this show that we had no idea who these people were, who actually stepped up and did something, because it's something we forget about. When there's a tragedy, we mostly remember the tragedy, but we have to think about the people who stopped it somehow, you know, the people who reacted after, not just the explosion. All the people that risked their lives knowing what it was going to do to them, all the people that went there knowing that it was going to, you know, make them suffer and did something, because if they didn't, a lot more people would die. Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking about when the guy from the KGB was saying to Ligasov that what's the point of, you know, doing something, because it doesn't matter when you get, you know, when you get shot in the end, you know, at the end of the day, if you die, it doesn't matter, but it does matter.
It's not doing it for himself, but for everybody else.
Yeah. It's to
give a chance to everybody else to be safe, to have a better future. I might say that, yeah.
Exactly. I think that even though your life will end, he went through a lot of shit at the end, you know, his accomplishments, his story, his background, everything. He lost everything, but still he did the right thing, because if he doesn't, there's still a chance that something like this will happen. So some people will risk their lives, some people will lose their lives, but at the end of the day, it's always worth it, because it brings on change. Yeah. Much needed change.
What do you think it says about us that we need such tragedies to cause a change?
It says that humans are selfish, or pig-headed, obstinated, and they need, not everyone, but a lot of people need a reality check when it comes to how much power we hold as humans, because we tend, like the guy who drives his car, who has a lot of you know, experience in his field, we tend to forget that what we do brings on consequences, and it's not because we feel at ease with what we're doing that nothing is going to happen. Yeah. It's the same with global warming, it's the same with COVID right now, it's the same with poverty, it's the same with racism. If we do nothing and choose
pretty much everything. Yeah.
If we do nothing and choose to just keep on doing our thing without caring for what happens, because we think that, oh, we're just one person in the universe, so what we do doesn't matter, well, nothing is ever going to change, sadly. And we will overlook, you know, the consequences, we will overlook the risks of what we're doing, and tragedies will keep on happening. It's a great show.
A good art show to watch.
Oh gosh, yes. I'm so glad that we watched it. And I
Thank you guys,
you know,
for suggesting it.
I know,
Accent?
our friends suggested it, but I think
Accent
people
suggested.
Yeah, and I know Roxanne too. But I had heard about it before they talked about us, and I think we wanted to watch it before, but I'm glad that we finally did it. I'm glad that we're watching it with our mom. Like, there's only this episode left. We went through the first 4 episodes in one night.
Yeah.
And she's liking it a lot, so there's this one left. But it's a powerful show, and everyone did a great job in it. So, yeah. That ends our journey with Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Where to now? We actually know where to now.
Yeah, we're going back to our roots.
Yeah.
We're watching Black Mirror next.
There are only like 3 episodes left.
There's 3 episodes from season 5.
What we had in mind was to watch the last 3 Black Mirror episodes, and then after that, I think we have a show in mind for after, or a poll. We'll see what we do, but
poll. I think we had a poll, yeah.
Yeah, but next time it will be Black Mirror. We're gonna do the last 3 episodes and stop, you know, carrying it with us that, oh shit, we still have 3 episodes to do. But thank you guys so much for having been with us through the tears and the silences because the tears were stopping us from saying anything.
Yeah.
Through the frustrations, because I know, especially me, we got angry a lot.
Oh, we both got angry so much during that show.
Yep.
Most of the time, we were just silent because we were just so frustrated about what was going on screen.
I think that's the point. You know, that was the point. When you see something like that happening on screen, whether it's true or not, and you feel connected to these characters, you feel connected to the actual story, and you know, especially in this show, you know that it happened for real. It's impossible not to get angry or sad. So thank you for putting up with us. Thank you for crying with us through it as well, and I hope to see you next week with Black Mirror.
Alright, so thank you guys, and see you then.
Bye.